Okay. For the quick heads up, Hype will be unable to join us at the moment due to some other schedulings going on, but at the very least, we can finally put that dreadful, dreadful boy band debacle behind us.
God.
I can still hear their voices.
It's like,
He's still some say he's still monologuing to this day. Anyway, let's go.
You know, never will a day go by whenever I hear their music, I'll still think back to their messed up faces.
Oh yeah, no, when they lost their pretty little armor heads.
I mean, that's essentially the equivalent of literally having your face ripped off.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you
For a
don't love
cyborg,
them,
yes.
if you don't love them when they're like that as much as you do with the fake faces, then you're a fake fan and you're a coward.
I guess.
Real ones know.
Are you trying to pull the if you can't handle them at their worst, then you don't deserve them at their best?
Nope, absolutely not. Totally original quote. Copyright me. Hashtag Donut Steal. The hedgehog.
Oh, here you get to see how the design for the sailor bots evolved over time.
Yep, they actually used to be sailors, and then they became shippers.
Yeah,
Shippies. I don't know.
on the deep shipping seas. Yeah, basically we learned later that like the whole thing actually like started off as like a toy line or a toy marketing thing, and then he just realized, wow, they're so like it was their typical VTuber kind of thing. Like, wow, we can actually make this marketable now.
Yeah, not just marketable to the kids
start
we're
off.
trying to sell them to, but maybe even to the fangirls.
I
That's
don't
exactly
get
how
why
it
we
works.
only see White's head around Metro District. Like,
I
it's
figured
always his
I always
head.
figured it was- but I always figured it was like he was like the unofficial leader of the group. Like he also leads them in the interviews and stuff.
I mean,
Yeah, but I
he's
mean-
kind of.
My other
honestly,
voice
when it comes
deserves
to
some
10
love.
I mean, absolutely. It's just that
Of course.
whatever you think of the actual 10-10 band, who's the first of the five that you think of?
It's,
Honestly, the blue
though,
one.
Though,
Or the green one.
though I guess speaking of the green one, I do still recall there's like you'll see later in the credits there's like one little like concept art or something that I supposedly canonically green gets the least amount of fan mail from anyone. Like nothing comes in the mail for him.
Which is ironic
no one likes
because,
likes the round head.
Which is ironic because, like, in the IRL fan base, everybody freaking loves the green one.
Do you think it's like but now do you think sorry, this is not to invalidate that at all. It's something that I'm genuinely trying to like. Oh, by the way, there's our fangirl. What's wrong, Cayenne? Or Cayenne, like Pepper?
She's seen the truth.
She's mad at us.
Oh, she's seen the...
Yeah,
but
she'll
also,
get over it.
It's something that I genuinely wanted to explore. Like, if there's a psychology to it, if like when people said that they liked the green, was that before or after they saw that concept art showing that the creators think that people like him the least? Because it's like,
You
'cause
know,
if so, then
honestly, like, I
Go
was
ahead.
really involved with the fan base, like, before the game was officially released, and
okay,
it was about
okay.
even. Like, people just really gravitated toward the hoop head.
Okay. All right, and the reason I was bringing that up because I almost thought it was going to be like a Luigi kind of like syndrome thing where like the more and more Nintendo kind of started like poking fun at the fact that Luigi was the lesser known of the two brothers, the more and more passionate people like became for the Green Plumber to the point where it just exploded into the year Luigi, and now it's just like now some would argue that Luigi gets more personality like enhancements than even Mario does at times.
I mean, one
You
thing
know
to
I
say
could
for certain
see
about
that.
One thing to say for certain about that is that, you know, the era where Luigi was often treated as the quote-unquote forgotten brother is more or less behind us. And now people more or less put that sort of, like, if people want to have that same feeling, they'll usually turn to Waluigi instead, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Soon all brothers shall be equals. But yeah, no, I don't know. But so, if I had a favorite though, I think I hope it's not the unpopular one or the unpopular decision. I like the redhead. I think I like his hair design the best.
Oh yeah, a lot of people headcanon him as like the hot-headed, more punkish one.
It's the red, I'm sure.
It's the red and also
It definitely
the
kind of
mohawk.
that too. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's a classic punk aesthetic. Do you have a favorite, Jordy?
Not exactly, although green looks kind of cool.
Okay. And James, I know which one's your favorite.
The one with the TV on his head?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to Dream Fever.
That guy. Okay, let's go.
There you are. Yep, it's time to get a little more psychedelic.
I know you
Yep.
didn't just disrespect my captain like that, man.
I mean, I had to
You
think.
know,
I had to think of
Oh,
something.
captain, my captain.
You don't like us referring to him as Commander Video? of the tie-dye rainbow packet of pals, whatever the hell Martinet called him.
I have no idea. I completely forgot what he called them.
It was something fast and with much alliteration.
I mean, again, it was very much them parroting, you know, like those very overly narrated radio shows of the era.
Absolutely. With Captain Planet and his tumultuous tree. I don't know. something like that.
I like to
Tumultuous
call them
trees.
Sergeant Pepper's Robot Heart Club Band.
That also works. So Eve is not only a huge supporter of the, I guess, let's just call it what it is, the freaking synthwave or the. Oh, by the way, keep in mind about these bottles. There's something kind of alluded to with all this.
It's so
Finally,
sad.
something that's simple to understand.
A broken heart.
Mayday,
made of
you're
pink
such
bottles.
a herbo.
And meanwhile, Zook perhaps recognizes it. He's putting two and two together. He's figuring it
Very
out.
awkward.
I mean,
But,
yeah, no, if there's one area of the game that really highlights the differences in Mayday and Zook's personality, it's definitely this area because, like, she's like Mayday's more or less the character that kind of sees everything at face value, whereas Zook more or less is well aware of the symbolism behind all this imagery.
He's
Yeah,
a deep
she'd be there
thinker,
to-
but also, like, he has context for all of this.
Oh yeah, especially
yeah, no,
considering who we're up against next.
Spoilers!
But yeah, meanwhile Eve's like, what? Meanwhile Eve's like, who would pay all this money just to own a painting of a square? Which, granted, I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of right there with her. I do not understand how modern art. I do not understand how somebody can paint a square with red paint on a white canvas and it sells for over $200,000.
Hey, you think that's bad? Some people can get away with just selling a canvas with one lone spot.
Well, that's usually only to the Dalmatian like psychos out there, as proven in that one movie I saw. I'm sure.
Can we just appreciate
But,
Celine's design here?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
It's very striking.
she's like, I mean, she's pretty much there.
I almost wonder if she was like meant to be like a. At first, I almost thought she was like a beta design for Eve before the one they settled on.
I mean,
Which
I
would
can
be a
see
cool
it.
idea which would be a cool idea to include those. But anyway, sorry. So back onto the topic of Eve's. Not only is she a supporter of a vaporwave, that's what I was thinking of. She's a supporter of that style of music, which is why we'll be hearing a lot of that. But she's also a top-notch fashion art, basically just a supporter of the modern arts. Hey, Retex.
Back in my days, we'd go all out for music.
Yes.
All out for music. I like it.
Yes. All the cats show up.
Well, what do you make of all this then?
Okay, Boomer.
And no regrets.
No
Okay,
errors, no
Boomer.
regrets.
It's like, dude, you are literally standing in a temple to the psychedelic arts with eyeballs and swirling light projections and hanging shit and statues, and you're all like, it's not all out enough. It's just like, look at her mural.
Yeah.
Just look at
Also-
everything. Like this is
Oh, and
this
it's
is
just
a
like,
literal
dude,
drug
not-
trip.
Do not realize
Oh, yeah.
where you are.
And it gets crazier. Oh, and also, if for anyone who noticed, yeah, I didn't really even focus on her advertisements on the TV because literally all it is it's you hear her boss music, her backing track, while it just continuously zooms in on her face until Eve's new art show. And that's it.
Like
very much
very,
in the
it's
subverted.
very much simple and to the point.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Which is why we're gonna hopefully get
Nice.
through this quickly. And I guess unfortunately, this is our last approach stage. The final boss does not have one.
Yeah,
Probably
very
for the
much.
best, considering that again, these are of all the things that No Straight Roads has. The approach stages are my least favorite aspect of the game.
It definitely could control better, and the enemies. Come on.
It does, in
Yeah.
a way, like, keep it from being all bosses.
It
Which
does.
is
It does.
fair.
It does kind of help pad out a little bit like the run and gun stages from Cuphead. But I still agree though. As far as the combat is concerned, one big improvement I would love if they ever made a sequel would be I wish there was a way for me and James to have a ranged attack without needing to collect notes.
Right, like have a meter dedicated to it.
Right. Or it's just something like that, because they don't spawn as often, and there'll be many opportunities where you'll just be seeing flying enemies. And
there's also the problem that they're, like we said before, they're context sensitive. You only can use them against aerial threats.
Yeah, I think so. Unless we go up here, can we double check? Yeah, no, it prioritizes the aerial units, not the.
I blinked.
Yep, that's what we're gonna get out of here. We're also
We
more or less
see
gonna,
all.
We're also definitely going to be speeding past this one the most, just because they fortunately spawn a lot of enemies. And again, looking in the back there, you only need to kill a certain number of enemies to open each door. So here we only need to kill 4 of these guys, and then we can, just run past, and no punishments. So while we're doing this,
No punishments, no regrets.
correct. While we're fighting these guys, oh boy, Jordy and Al, have either of you two ever, like, apart from the meme value of it, have you two ever, like, listened to or heard much of the the vaporwave synth track kind of genre?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
go
have.
ahead, Al.
And your thoughts?
I have.
Yeah,
Like,
and your
I was when I was like in college, I would listen to some of like that. I forget the exact name of it, like the Mac OS. It's like probably like the most iconic example of like just vaporwave being vaporwave. It's like the pink background with the statue head and everything. I would just turn that on and just space out while trying to think of something weird to draw for class. It was like very much when I was like a freshman and trying to find inspiration, and it is really good music for that kind of stuff to like, it's a very meditative sound, I feel like.
Yeah, when it's done right, it's like it's a literal pleasure to the ears.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about James, I forget exactly what we called it, but wasn't there also something where like I think it was something like it was like, I think Pogo you were talking about, where like it's this style of music where it's not exactly vaporwave, but it primarily uses like very lower subdued melodies, like nice calm floating ones with like, and then he would source the popular Disney movies and stuff in his songs and stuff. Like, I forgot if there was someone at one point called it Simpsons Wave almost at one point, because there was this one popular artist who did it primarily with Simpsons clips.
I
things like
think
that.
it was that's when it was starting to morph into the lo-fi stuff, like seeing the shift
the
from
lo-fi
vaporwave
beats.
into lo-fi. I
Ooh.
I would like to make a disclaimer there, though. Like, I don't think we should be shouting out Pogo here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a bunch of stuff came out where he was just like very virulently like homophobic, racist, like violently
shit,
so.
really?
So just like,
Ah.
I feel like if we mention that in the final video, we should keep that disclaimer in.
We're not gonna. Well, I mean, okay. Well, I mean, I argue the fact that I can still keep it in just to say that I had no idea, and now I'm
Yeah.
like, well, crap. I mean, at the very least, okay, I'll drop the conversation there just by again finishing the statement of, damn, man, I really. Okay, well then.
Yay! Now part of ourselves feels ruined.
Man.
It's
Okay,
fine.
but I will.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
The other thing, okay, well, before I get into the other thing, Jordy, what were your thoughts on this kind of like, lo-fi synth vaporwave genre?
I mean, I don't think I really listened to too much of lo-fi, except maybe recently, because ever since I started getting some therapy, I decided to try listening to some meditation music, and I think some of that is lo-fi, and it's pretty calming.
Okay. And then when you mentioned lo-fi, it actually did at that moment remind me, James, we could tell Al a bit about that cool lo-fi puzzle game that we had found.
Spirit
Oh.
Swap?
Yeah. Have you heard about that, Al?
The name rings a bell, but I don't know what it's about.
The most you need to know is that Spirit Swap is pretty much a lo-fi queer represented alternative to Puzzle League.
Yep. Like the ones where like, or Yoshi's Cookie kind of. Yeah, mostly.
Not Yoshi's Cookie. Tetris Attack / Pokemon Puzzle League. Panel Depon would be the more apt comparison, but it's a puzzle game basically, and I would definitely say look it up because it's really good.
Yep, it has a really nice art style to it. Looks like they're gonna have some fun writing, and it's I don't know if it's gonna have dating sim elements, but it's
I
definitely
think
gonna
that was
have a
part of
nice...
one of the stretch goals that was met.
Oh, that's cool. All right, because yeah, I know it's definitely gonna have like some sort of story to it, and from what I played, it's absolutely like I agree with you. Like certain music, you can just like when you listen to certain music, it just gets you in this trance, this like creative, like kind of mood, kind of mindset.
You
And
had me at queer.
No, trust me. Like you see the game in action, it's there, all right. And
It's very nice.
I mean, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully either adds or doesn't subtract to the overall experience of Puzzle League in the first place. Because again, really good game otherwise.
Right.
Eve?
Remember this chair?
Eh?
Or has it fled past the walls of your
I actually don't
memories?
remember if that chair has
Not
anything
that
to do
I
with
would be
us.
surprised if it has. A chair
Joanna's
of
voice
mine
gives
is
me so
never
much
made to
ASMR in
hold
this
such
scene.
Sentimental value.
She does a really good job, honestly. I give her credit.
Right?
She could start an ASMR channel.
Eve,
All is fine. You are forgiven.
Well, I mean, especially right there. Just
Now, lay yourself upon this vessel and accept my gift. Feel the sands of time flow through your body as you once had.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt this dialogue, but have any of you ever been to an art exhibit before?
Yeah?
I feel like I have once.
I've been there a few times. I did in my old performance group. We sometimes did performances at museums, and thus we would be allowed to enter and see all the stuff there.
That's cool. I know I've been to the MoMA a couple times, Vassar College, and recently there's going to be an art exhibition coming up to the town where I actually work.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow. Also she's magic.
Behold, I am the chair.
She's I want to say she's magic, or she just understands perception to such a degree that she can almost warp others' perception.
I think that's the implication here.
No. Zook, why must you pick such a pedestrian girl?
You're assuming that he actually has like those kind of we don't. Nothing's been confirmed.
Remember when I was the tectonic plates and you were the sea?
But yeah, she's also been another thing that's a big theme with her is a huge part of her is like her own identity and how she wants the world to perceive her or how she wants to perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead,
She's a very emotional character, and that's not to say, like, she's just emotional. It's just, like, how that emotion is expressed with her, and just, like, how she shows that through her own performance and her art. Like, a lot of that has caused, like, a lot of, especially with the identity thing, a lot of LGBT fans to latch onto her. Just, like, I feel like her character could be a really interesting study into rejection, mental health, identity, and how that shapes a person.
Because especially because there was a huge. Oh, by the way, we should probably.
We'll say right here, right now, this boss fight is really freaking hard in single player.
It's very hard to keep a track of her, and so the way it works is at first it's fairly simple. She's teleporting around these pictures, find the one that glows, and that's where she's going to appear out of, and eventually she'll start spawning enemies to make it hard to continuously lay down that pressure on her. Oh, and of course turrets, nice parry. So when you get to the later two phases, that's where things will definitely start to pick up because. Eventually what's going to happen is this is, as you soon see, this is the boss that I almost think this boss was made with co-op in mind the most.
Yes.
Like, its mechanics of it. So, before that, but before that, back to her character now, is that, I guess it was, I was, like, uninformed at first, because I genuinely, like, I didn't think it was so weird for her to have this whole, bipolar color palette, but I guess we learned later that it is like some sort of abnormal skin condition that she has that is causing this. And she was upset by it at first until she decided to fully embrace that, like, in later years.
Yeah, and that goes into, like, a lot of the Easter eggs you find with her in the old videos of Eve at various stages in her life.
Oh yeah. Definitely props to those brothers and their animations. I think Eve's, even though she may not be my favorite boss, I think her Easter eggs are probably my favorite.
Honestly,
Whoa.
she Okay, this is called WTF moment number 5. But beside the point, this boss actually surprised me. I was blown away by how much I actually enjoyed it. Like, I didn't care too much about the character at first until I saw, you know, what unfolded. But as I was going through this boss, I suddenly, like, something drew me to it. I don't know what it was, if it was the music, the aesthetics, or if it was Eve herself, but damn.
I would definitely think, like, at first it starts off all slow, but now as you're hearing now the bass is really starting to become more aggressive along with her attacks.
And if you also notice, she's far more aggressive on Mayday's side than she is on Zook's.
Oh, yeah.
That is also fair, actually. Yeah, good detail.
Didn't really think about that, but I mean, either way, don't underestimate her, because all those hands and, you know, the occasional time you'll see that big face that shoots a laser at you, it can overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And the foot, and
don't forget
it's
the
very...
feet.
Yeah,
Like that.
It makes the giant foot. No, it just ultimately makes it very difficult to keep the pressure on her. Genuinely, when I've seen people like S rank her boss, genuinely the tactic that they've done is, if you notice, whenever you get too close and do a physical attack, that's what causes her to switch over. But the strategy I've been seeing people do is if you can continuously use Mayday's transformables and parry to keep building your ranged attack, you can deal, like, it is possible to completely whittle down her health bar in one room and have her never switch.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. But that's boring, so that's why we do dumb things like charge straight ahead.
Well, I mean, hey, it makes things more interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just
Okay,
like, where's the
still on my
fun in
side.
speed running?
so there are some strats who I think are boring, but it's faster, but they're boring.
Anyway,
Can we
go
also
get
look
her.
back? Can we also look back on how Zook said she's done this before? It's just like, what was your relationship like, dude?
Well, it's like
Complicated.
one thing that'll be insinuated in one of the Easter eggs, but is also brought upon in this dialogue is also she's really not taking the rejection of Zook very lightly.
Yeah. Because I feel like, in a way, she tied a lot of her identity when she was younger into her relationship with Zook. I mean, well, I don't want to get into the Easter eggs too bad, but she definitely saw herself as part of him, and that's something that deeply insecure people do. It's like, she wasn't, like, prepared to love herself and accept herself, and so she thought she could, like, you know, kind of skip past that by being with and having someone else's love and acceptance, and that's why she's taking this so hard. But that gets into a lot of character stuff that I just love with her.
No, I get you. It's like losing Zook made her fear that she was losing part of herself, and thus she, like, spiraled into what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But trying to think of what else we're bringing up. We mentioned. Oh yeah. So another, I guess another part of their past that is never specifically stated, but we now know is Zook never really hated her. Zook was more so like, I guess, cautious, not fearful either. Basically, the whole thing happened one night where Zook was going to do a drumming performance of some sort, and Eve, wanting to help, you know, elevate the artistic representation of his passion or something like that, decided to put lit candles in his hair.
And then I mean, kind of goes without saying what happened next.
Yeah, and then he
Yeah,
ghosted
kinda.
her after that.
Because and maybe it was just the fact that, like, he just didn't understand and just didn't want to involve her anymore, fearing that it would lead to more hair pyrotechnics. But and then as you already have seen in the cutscenes leading up to this point, you know, DK West also had, you know, feelings for her, but she did not reciprocate them.
I mean,
Come on, give me
it's
the
the stuff
every
between
shot.
Eve and DK West that kind of makes, I think I brought this up before already, but it kind of makes Zook the more developed character in this story than even Mayday. Though that being said,
Yeah.
we'll definitely get a little bit more out of her once we reach the ending of the game.
So I guess maybe that's the balance of it, is that Mayday's whole character arc happens throughout the entire majority of the story's, like, main campaign, whereas Zook's happens in the side quests.
More or less.
So
Or it's seen between the lines.
Fair. But yeah, as you see here, we're pretty much at the finale of this fight, and again, it really, normally, if you're doing single player, you would basically just be doing, you know, tag teaming with yourself, but in co-op, I think it leads to a more fun experience, I think.
Agreed.
And we're here.
And
did
now
it.
she's lashing out.
Yay, teamwork.
Woo!
And we're freed. I think.
The
Perhaps,
power of friendship! That's how!
Face it, Eve. Zook's better than you.
Gasp.
I don't know if that was a thing to say to her.
There's only one way to end this.
Let's show
And
her.
now Zook's the one feeling more apprehensive.
Yeah, you can see it in his face too.
I mean, hey, dude's still a trooper though. He's still going through with it.
Of course. It's
He
our
looks so
one
sad.
goal.
But it's not like the more melodramatic sad that Mayday had in the 10-10 fight. It's just like he's actually sad by the events
No
and how
more.
things turned out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Emotions!
that cover. That being said, that cover there isn't quite the emotion that we're feeling right now.
You and
Not
everyone
yet.
else
We
are
have
Oh yeah, there's
some unfinished business left.
All of you are cowards.
Whoa!
she's just a really well written example of a deeply insecure person in a really bad spiral.
Just lost within herself, unable to truly, you know,
I should go talk to her.
yeah, do that.
Go.
Like
Now this. Oh, and last thing I was gonna say is this is actually something that I had to ask James to like quickly hold back a bit on. Is it's actually possible to skip through this dialogue by just running straight up to her.
Yeah.
So-
It's pretty. We're basically dealing with another freaking Shadow the Hedgehog / Sonic Adventure 2 scenario where they actually do add more context if you actually, you know, hold some restraint.
Yeah. So I mean, he's got the health to last. So we'll just
Please, listen.
It's over.
just little pew.
It is over. It is over. It is over. It is
Oh, Eve.
You're not alone.
I feel like this may sound weird, but I feel like a lot of us have been Eve at some point. Like, yes, she's
Oh, yes.
showing a much more dramatic display of it, but a lot of us have like felt what she's felt and gone through all that stuff. Like, I just really love how Eve is written.
No, I mean that's
Same
good. Like
here.
that's if it's a character that you can relate to or have some sort of connection for and sympathize for, I think that they did their job.
Now then, I do believe this cover needs a redraw.
Sure thing. Resolution.
Reconciliation.
That
Now the stage is cleared.
and done.
Mayday's just sitting back there, just like, okay.
James hated this fight in single player,
I'm sorry.
and I wasn't a big fan of it either. But this was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
When we first met, you immediately saw potential in me. I gave you hope
And encouragement.
that perhaps I could eventually see the world as you did. But I'm not like you. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Sometimes people are just incompatible.
Please,
Yeah.
It sucks, but sometimes the healthier
was
thing is to
a coward
do this and just
for
have
running
the
away.
mature conversation.
I know that now.
Yeah.
But seeing you today reminded
Like,
me of how
character
alive you
moments
can
like this is
truly
where this
be
game really shines.
performing your craft.
And why I would not mind doing more with these characters. They don't feel one note to me.
That you might never meet
Except for
anyone
DJ
else
Subatomic. I mean, he's
Oh
just
yeah,
kind
no,
of,
that,
he just-
that
he
dude
just
kind of
likes
had
space.
had what was coming to him.
Yeah, but still, husbando.
Anybody else to complete. You complete yourself.
Yes, that right there. Back to the whole theme. It's just like she needs to complete herself. She needs to be her own person and find that own identity.
Yeah.
have
You don't have
always
to
been
live out
strong.
your life just by, you know,
If anyone
how
can
to
do
put
it,
it, like,
it's
you know, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't need, like, somebody else's, like, you should be able to, like, rely upon yourself and and appreciate yourself first before.
Also, that's right. I forgot that her real name's not Eve.
It's
Yep.
Nadia.
not pedestrian, by the way. If you know her as I do, I think you'll like her too.
Aww.
Aw. And again, like, it's here that it's also, like, not specifically, like,
Thanks,
but no, it's, again, I don't think they're a couple. I think they're just really good friends and that they support
yeah.
each
Yeah.
other.
I almost
good
feel
friends.
like it would have. I almost feel like it would have cheapened that moment if they had like just been out and been like, "Oh yeah, and she's not pedestrian. She's my girlfriend. Like I like her now."
Right,
Just-
no, it would
Yeah,
have just
yeah,
felt like
it-
it's just outright replacement. No, it's just
Yeah.
different people gelling well with each other and just like-minded. I don't know, yeah.
The only thing that's important that they're good friends with a common goal, and that's why they
Right.
stick around.
And in that, yeah, and like, and yeah, as you said, in that moment in particular, I appreciate that they didn't fall into the pitfall of just following the cliche of having him say, like, this is why I fell in love with her, or something like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And look, you
Yeah.
can even set your hair on fire again. It's really only useful in, like, close quarter combat. That's the, I guess, real quick, that's the other thing that I never really understood about some of these abilities is, some of these abilities really feel like they only work well when you're against the normal mooks, not the bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Burning Hair Fashion, that would work well with others, but... Is it time?
Yes, it's time.
We
We're at the
broke-
top of the charts.
We
We're
broke the
number one.
record.
We're number one.
We're number one.
Boom.
And we get the job
So-
done.
So, time to go see what we've now left the city like now that we've all tackled all this. So stay tuned for the next part.
Farewell.
Is that part of the city? Was that part of the city always on fire?
I told them never to use that much hairspray.